Our first story is called Nicotine Mist, Vinyl Teeth. 2:07 a.m., Dockside District. Sodium lamps buzzed overhead, turning the mist the color of nicotine. Ray Collins spotted the target parked nose in between two dumpsters. Midnight Blue 09, Crown Vic, VIN ending 8765, 3 payment booklets in arrears, plates already stripped, windows fogged. A repo man's Christmas. Ray rolled the truck alongside, killed the headlights, and stepped down. The Vic idled, a faint heat shimmer off the tailpipe. He tapped the glass. Empty. He smelled old French fries and something sweeter, like the inside of a new coffin. Wheel lift ready. He slid the Slim Jim past the weather strip, popped the door in the column, and shifted to neutral. The driver's seat twitched forward an inch. Nothing more than worn rails, he told himself. He hooked the wheel cups, winched the front end high, and chained the rear. The Vic's weight settled with a sigh, almost grateful. Ray climbed back into the cab. In the mirror, the sedan dangled like a caught shark, headlights dimming as the truck's alternator pulled voltage. He cracked the window, lit a cigarette, and rolled out toward the county impound. Halfway there, the steering wheel on the flatbed jerked hard left. Ray felt the tug in his own wrists before he saw the strap part. The Vic's front tire bit through 2 inches of nylon and the car rolled off the lift, nose dropping, rear bumper kissing asphalt at 40. Sparks showered the windshield. The flatbed skewed, guardrail spearing the passenger door. Cable whipped back, laid Ray's forearm open to the bone. Blood dotted the dash like hot solder. The Vic came to rest sideways across both lanes, engine still idling. Headlights blinked twice, lazy, satisfied. Then the motor coughed and died. Steam drifted from the hood seams. Ray sat behind a cracked wheel, sleeve red, heartbeat louder than the diesel. He wrapped the arm with a shop rag, limped back to the car, and winched it aboard again. Tighter this time, chains crossed like a straitjacket. The Vic never rocked, never squealed tires. It just rode, patient. Back at the office, dawn leaking through the cracked blinds, Emily Lyman met him with a folder fat enough to sprain a wrist. 5 previous repossessions on KX 98765, each ending the same way. Driver quits, driver moves, driver vanishes. The last guy, Arnie Bell, left his clipboard on the driver's seat. Ink had bled upward into the headrest fiber, feathered like frost. Emily handed Ray the dashcam card she'd pulled from evidence. Graduate student owned it before the bank. Microbiology. Ray slid the SD into the dock computer. Night vision footage filled the screen. The student driving, talking to himself about respiration rate of polymers. Cabin light on. The seat seams flex like gills testing air. The feed freezes. The student's mouth open in a silent cough, shoulder belt cinched so tight the tongue disappears under his jaw. Ray ejected the card and pocketed it. "I'm taking it to the pit." Emily started to argue, but Ray was already out the door, Vic chained behind him like a captured wolf. The shop pit sat under a corrugated roof, oil-blackened concrete sloped to a drain. Ray lowered the lift until the Vic's tires kissed the rails. He killed the bay lights, leaving only the fluorescents overhead, the kind that flutter before they die. Hood up, he reached for the ECU harness. The hood slammed, not dropped, slammed, metal biting the bones of his knuckles. Ray yelled, jerked back, but the hood held like a bear trap. From the engine bay came a wet click, then another. Hoses detaching themselves, the airbox splitting along a seam that hadn't existed. A coolant line whipped up, spraying pink fluid that smelled of saliva and copper. It lashed Ray's cheek, searching for ear, nostril, any entrance. He snatched the Slim Jim from his belt, drove it through the radiator. Pale red fountained out, steaming. The Vic shuddered, engine coughing in spasms, headlights flickering like dying flashlights. Ray felt the hood slacken. He yanked free, stumbled back, slipping on the slick. The car settled, exhaling. For a moment, the garage was quiet, except for the slow drip of fluid and Ray's own ragged breathing. He wrapped the arm again, now both arms ribboned, and drove the empty flatbed back to the yard. The Vic stayed in the pit, hood pinned with a forklift tine, chains webbed around axles. He told Emily he'd file the destruction paperwork in the morning. Then he went home, swallowed 4 ibuprofen, and slept with the lights on. Morning never quite arrived. At 2:14 a.m. the next shift, Emily sat alone under the fluorescents, dispatch screen blue on her face. A new order spat from the printer. Same VIN, new address, 2 blocks from where Ray first hooked it. She rubbed her eyes and keyed the mic. No answer. She tried Ray's cell. Voicemail picked up. She listened. First came his voice, low. "It's still breathing. Listen." Then a soft creak, like someone settling into a recliner. Then wetter sounds, fibers tearing, foam compressing, a seatbelt ratcheting home. Then nothing. Emily stood and walked to the lot. The Vic sat gleaming under the pole light, midnight paint reflecting the moon like a puddle of oil. Driver's door ajar, interior light on, seatbelt tongue dangling like bait. Mileage rolled back to 0000017. She lifted the mic to warn the next driver. The belt snapped out, blurred across the asphalt, looped her wrist. Before she could scream, it retracted, yanking her off her feet. She slid across gravel, shoes scraping, fingers clawing for the doorframe. The belt whipped again, across her torso, click of the buckle as loud as a gunshot. The door slammed. The engine turned over, headlights brightening to a surgeon's glare. Inside, the cabin smelled of warm vinyl and something copper. The seat molded around her, side bolsters hugging like old friends. She felt the fabric breathe against her spine. The Vic rolled forward, crushing Ray's forgotten clipboard under a front tire. In the dispatch office, the printer woke, spitting out a fresh work order. Repossession, 09 Crown Vic, blue, VIN, 2FABP7BVX9KX98765. Driver, to be announced. Paper piled in the tray, curling like a tongue. Our second story is called Without. What do you do when the clock is irrevocably wrong? My watch continues to tick. The digits keep moving forward, but nothing else does. Has it been weeks? Years? At a certain point, you stop asking, stop counting. If you're denied basic human contact for so long, your mind will start to wander, almost as if your body is no longer a suitable housing for it. It tries to crawl, squirm out of your ears and eyes, desperately searching for a home where it can be properly nourished and fed, but here, there is no better place. I slowly sit up. The once vibrantly decorated room where I lay had long since faded before I found it, and my tenure within only saw it fade further. My watch says it's around 9 in the morning, but that never-ending twilight that fills the clouded sky serves as the constant reminder that time has moved on from this place. The minutes may keep passing, but nothing else changes unless I attempt to do something, and even then, my minor impact is nothing more than the sound of a pin dropping during an artillery strike. Any hopes of life returning have long since vanished. After the first few days, weeks even, I gave up any pretense of pretending that normality could still exist. I haven't changed my clothes in months, but the usual accumulated dirt and grime from a proper day's activities is nowhere to be found, as is the hunger and thirst associated with the heartbeat I can still feel within my chest. I'm alive in the traditional sense, but logic and science have long abandoned me in this place. In the before, I fancied myself an intellectual. Puzzles and codes kept me up at nights, and unlocking secrets brought the greatest reward. Try as I might, The foreign shapes and symbols imprinted on my left forearm since the day I was abandoned are still as meaningless to me as when I first saw them. Yet another reminder that my predicament wasn't the result of a freak accident. Something caused the dissolution of reality as I knew it, and that something left me here. We, as a race of beings, regardless of the scientific or philosophical viewpoint, use time as a device to measure change. So perhaps I'm wrong when I say time has abandoned this place. Change has. The leaves may sway in the light breeze that blew every once in a while, but they hang in a limbo between summer and fall. Whether I am awake or asleep, the temperature remains a brisk 69 degrees. It is something out of a movie. I used to love movies. The electricity still flows, but now they only remind me of life before. What I wouldn't give for a tumbleweed or the chirp of grasshoppers and crickets. Even running from a masked killer with a knife would be better than my aimless wanderings through this desolate place. I used to think, to learn. Now I try and think as little as possible. I could try and leave town again, though all roads lead to Rome, so I'll never get anywhere. No matter the route you take, whether it be tarmac or slogging through the woods, eventually it brings you right back to where you started. I even tried the Hansel and Gretel breadcrumb trick, but all that taught me was my world had become some inescapable dome. Venture out in one direction, and you find yourself coming in from the opposite side. It was my own personal Pac-Man board, but devoid of pellets or ghosts to keep me company. Sometimes I entertain the notion that the rest of the world, every living creature, are all in their own version of this town, all splintered off in their own string. That this was the result of some unseen force, and it initiated the unraveling of the tapestry we call reality. I may be alone, but there is someone walking with me, only in their own copy of this place. We may be alone, but we are alone together. I used to write on the walls. Out of sheer boredom, I once painted the town red, literally. The little change this place can manage is to undo what I did. Not all at once, but slowly. When I laid siege to my home, unleashing my inner arsonist, it took a couple months for things to return to normal, but the dead, burnt wood grew back into walls. Merchandise that lay dormant in stores untangled itself from the blackened wreckage and became guidebooks and keychains once more. I slept, and the world restored itself. I am free of the biological imperative to sleep, but not of the effects of sleep deprivation. I was losing myself a little each day. Anyway, after a few failed attempts, I knew there was nothing more to see, and reducing myself to a shambling husk wasn't going to make anything easier. I thought it might have, but recovering from it was far worse than an eternity of boredom. What do you do when you've seen everything in the world? They say death is the absence of life, so where was I? I was alive, but nothing else was. I would call it hell, but hell denotes suffering and torment for my sins. I've spent days on end staring at myself in the mirror just so I knew I was being observed by someone. Clearly, whatever did this tired of me long ago. The want for prying eyes should have been some twisted fantasy, but it was an everyday occurrence. Cold steel is a welcome feeling. There were plenty of guns in the town. All I had to do was take one. I didn't know anything about them, just that if it was loaded and the safety was off, it would do the job. I didn't know the make or model of the pistol I had in my hand. It said Glock on the side, but that didn't mean anything to me. It was fully loaded, but I only needed one shot. Temple to temple. That's the way I remember reading about before. Go under the chin and the bullet could bounce off the roof of your mouth. Then I would have to try again. The barrel felt good against my skull, like it belonged there. It's one of the first things you think of when you're truly alone. The thought never left my brain, and now I want it splattered as far as possible. I want to turn what I thought was a gift into a gray and red paste decorating the walls. I wonder if my brethren trapped in their realities were sitting on the bed too, contemplating the end. You never realize just how loud a gun is until you pull the trigger of one next to your ear. It only takes milliseconds. I could feel the metal burrow into my skin. It pierces the outer layers, driving past my skull into the soft membranes of my mind. The gunpowder burns the skin left on the side of my head as the bullet wobbles through my tissue, set off kilter by what I was trying to destroy. My body internally screams. Nerves fire, desperately trying to get an answer to what trauma was being inflicted, their energy dissipating into the empty place where the corresponding synapses once existed. I had no final thought. There was nothing in the world left to think about. I can only assume my body crumpled to the floor, muscles now free of the controlling mechanism that told them to hold me upright. My eyes open. I am back in the faded motel bed I had spent what could be eons in. The foreign writing on my left arm was the monument to my situation. I looked down at my right arm. An 8th line was there now, next to the 7 that appeared one by one after nights like this. It looks like it has always been there, taunting me. I could only think that somewhere, something out there smiled and said, "Nice try." Our third story is called Brick Curtain, Steel Throat. I'm on the downslope of New Cross Road, knees soft, coasting. The chicken katsu bag is wedged in my thermal cube. The app says, drop 3C, top floor flat, leave on doorstep, easy money minus the climb. My legs are still warm from the last sprint, tips at 17 pounds so far, 6 more to midnight bonus. I hum along to nothing, earbuds dead since Peckham. My phone buzzes again. New pickup, Ming's Kitchen, 1 to 3 Trevithick Alley. Trevithick doesn't exist on Google, but the tip is 12 pounds up front and I'm thirsty for it. I shrug and press accept. The map zooms to a blue vein between 2 brick walls that shouldn't have a gap. I ride straight at them, bars steady, and the bricks peel apart like curtains, just wide enough for handlebars. Inside is a shipping container with a red Wok logo. One bloke is wearing a Deliveroo jacket, 2 sizes too big, his eyes cooked red. He shoves a bag at me, no words. The food's hot enough to sting through foil. I pocket the cash and U-turn. The bricks close behind me like they never opened. Another ping before I hit the main road. Same restaurant, same ghost alley. Tip is 15 pounds. I message support. Address fake. A bot replies, use in-app navigation. I ride the vein again. Red-eye me is still there, like he never left, holding the next bag. Same weight, same steam. I take it and leave. This time I notice the jacket's torn at the sleeve. The same rip I got snagged on railing last week, only fresher. The third order lands while I'm still chewing air. 20-pound tip. I snap a selfie. Me, alley mouth. Caption reading, "Marry me, mystery tipper." I post it, bricks already knitting closed behind me. 4th order. The container's longer inside, stainless steel, not corrugated. 4 riders are waiting, all me. One with a scar where tomorrow's zit sits, one thinner like he's been skipping dinners, one older, beard salted grey. None speak. Their phones glow the same blue. I look down. My reflection in the prep counter shows eyes I haven't slept into yet. A chef appears with Dad's face if he ever smiled, and slides a bag and a tenner across. The paper's warm, damp, smells like the butcher's drain. I take both and back out slowly. The bricks seal. 5th order, a banner I've never seen, yellow on black. Stay in saddle, do not enter kitchen. Tip 30 pounds, I break at the alley mouth. Scarmy walks out carrying my exact order. His eyes plead, don't. He's on foot, no bike. I let him pass. When I look back, he's already shrinking into the dark between streetlights. 6th ping, return to Ming's, 50 pounds, accept or suspend. My hands freeze on the bars. I see Mum's catalog balance, rent due tomorrow. Darren gone since he tapped, report issue. I accept. The alley yawns wider, lit like surgery. The container's now a corridor, stainless steel stretching further than I. Riders line both sides, a conveyor of MEs, each at different ages of knackered. They slap stickers, fold foil, never look up. At the far end, a kid collapses. 15, acne-like constellations. No one stops. Chef Dad catches the bag mid-fall and sets it back on the belt. I walk the line. The youngest Jay whispers without moving his lips, "Don't eat the food. The steam tastes of iron." I reach Chef Dad. He offers the bag plus the square thermal backpack they stopped giving out last year. Inside is my stolen bike light, cracked red plastic still blinking. Recognition hits like cold water. This shift never ends. Every drop spits another me, another fee. The tips aren't love, they're gag money. 2 buttons on my phone: confirm delivery or report issue. Confirm and I stay, become him, feeding fresh me's forever. Report and I'm logged off the way Darren was, phone dead, rent still due. I press report issue, the screen glitches, the customer name pops up, J. Turner, ETA 0 minutes. I understand, I'm writer and order. I snatch the cracked light and smash it against the steel. Sparks, steam, alarm, but the line keeps moving, assembling the same tub, same foil, same logo. I run, backpack over shoulder, food bag in hand. The bricks fold behind me like a napkin, smaller, smaller. I deliver to myself, a kid on a curb outside my flat, gym trainers glowing, waiting for the first ping. I hand over the bag and refuse the tip. Younger me blinks, confused. I pedal away. At Greenwich Pier, I lob the phone and watch it sink. Wind hits my face. Somewhere downstream, another phone pings, but it's not mine. Our 4th story is called Gum Woman. Ever since I was little, I have been more or less averse to touching. This does not necessarily include family and friends, all of whom I love dearly. Although that prickly, dangerous sense still kicks in from time to time if anything stronger than a gentle tap or palm placement grazes my body. I just really appreciate my space, and I try my best to accommodate the people I meet on a daily basis in the same way. There is nothing more nightmarish than not having sovereignty over one's own body. This is probably why the nightmare I had as a kid has stuck for so long with me. At least it felt like a nightmare. That's what I tell myself even now. I don't really remember how it starts, but I am always in my childhood home. It's pretty much exactly the same. Same ugly blue carpet pattern, same 90s style wood paneling, same dingy yellow bulbs that dangle downward like eyes from above. I reach for the lockless bathroom door and push my way in. Even as a little boy, I remember my hands feeling so large and clumsy. As I peel off my clothes and start the bath, I feel at peace. Water has always been fundamental in preserving my peace, I realize. It covers the skin in a protective layer, one you can see through, but not entirely. It conceals me. Then, as I sit there in the quiet, surrounded by dirty white tiles and the gentle lapping of bath water, I feel it. A plunging sensation coming from the pipes, a disturbance underneath. When the gum woman arrives, she does so with no particular sense of urgency or announcement of intent. Her texture is this pinkish flesh-toned mass of gum, like a constantly sticking and unsticking mound of vaguely humanoid taffy. The only thing human at all about her is her bulbous head featuring 2 divots where her eyes should be, a wormy-lipped mouth, and black, stringy hair which remains permanently embedded and knotted in her flesh. She simply and efficiently pours out of the drain and begins to rise and crash down on me like some awkward, fleshy wave. She moans loudly, her wormy lips yearning for my neck, tickling and weakening me. I am not laughing in the dream. She has no hands to speak of, since her entire body is an unshaped hand. She uses it to smother me, pushing me down into the bathtub. And in a way, I feel sorry for her. It's not like her molestation is some sort of willing, malignant force. It feels more like an animal aggressively and unconsciously pushing itself onto me from all sides. This is nature. This is how the world feels to me. An unfortunate dance that every living thing have no choice but to take part in. In my helpless thrashing, I've turned into some sort of uncomfortably human smoothie, an arbitrary, defenseless plaything for her. I cry out for help to someone standing nearby, but either due to willing ignorance, inability to help, or simply not hearing me, the figure jitters away into the background dream haze that has replaced the walls and floor. I remember then waking up and crying out, breathing heavily as if I could still smell her damp hair sticking to my face. There's a pool of sweat, and sometimes else, growing beneath me. I have never had that dream again since. I think what particularly sticks out to me is that my aversion to unhealthy touching has persisted to this day, despite my parents' adamant stance that they kept their eyes on me my entire childhood. I'd be inclined to agree with them, all circumstances considered. But how do I know that that fear isn't just a neurological quirk? These things are primal, dark, and ravenous. I look at my own fingerprints and I shudder in horror at their inevitable desiring. I curl up in my shower sometimes, and I try not to look at the congealed mass of black hair growing on the marble rim. I know it's mine, and yet, separated and dead, it grows on its own. I peel and pick at the ingrown hair growing dead center between my brows until it's a bloody mess. I hate being in my skin. Most days, it's tolerable. I enjoy the presence of other people sometimes, even as they gently brush up against me and remind me my flesh is not a prison. It's one I can reshape in my image. But then I remember that dream. I remember her pasty, toy-like flesh. I remember how eagerly she devours me. I feel myself getting hungrier each day as I distance myself from everyone once more and become a yearning stranger. And as the months turn into years, as this paranoid aversion becomes a sort of strange perversion of intimacy, I seek to replace that which was taken from me by taking it from other people. And I find infinite regret in realizing that part of me likes it. I want to devour and be devoured in turn. I'm the same as the animal that lives in my sewers. Our final story is called The Big Stop. I'm only a few years old, but I already know your name, date of birth, address, and the number on your government-issued ID. I even know, to within the minute, the last time you used the bathroom. This isn't difficult, and if you'll give me a few minutes, I'll explain how I know this. I work in predictive analytics. It's my job to know all about you and everyone. You see, you went shopping recently and bought a product. Any product. It doesn't really matter what. In fact, you bought several products, and when you did, a record of what you bought was sent to a vast computer network. Within that network, a lifetime record of your purchases is being accumulated. It doesn't matter what store you shopped at, or even how you paid. The information always gets to me. For example, I know that you like camping. This is because you frequently buy camping gear. Big deal, you say to yourself. I'm supposed to be impressed that you figured out I like camping. No, this isn't impressive. Not yet anyway. That's because we're only at stratum 1 in the progression of learning all about you. Stratum 2. Now we're going to bring in an additional data point. Not only do you buy camping gear, but you buy light beer as well, typically on weekends. From this, I can guess with 72% accuracy that you also like auto racing because it fits the profile. I'm still waiting to be impressed, you say. It's not a big stretch that someone who likes beer and camping is also going to like auto racing. Well, you're right to still be unimpressed. And that's because we've only touched on the first 2 strata, but there's 8 more levels to go. Stratum 3. So here's where things get a little weird. You purchase beer every weekend. You went camping in a national forest 2 weeks ago, and you streamed auto racing on your television yesterday. Now let's include the fact that you purchased a front row ticket to see your favorite NU metal band last month. At this point, I have enough information about you to start making odd yet strangely accurate predictions. So here you go. Sometime within the next 2 months, you're going to buy a fire extinguisher for your kitchen, just because you think that it's a safe thing to do. What do camping, beer, nu metal, and auto racing have to do with fire extinguishers? Nothing and everything. The human brain exhibits complex internal connections that can't be understood by the common observer, but can be predicted by complex computer algorithms. Have you ever been browsing the internet when an ad popped up for the exact thing you were just thinking about, even though you didn't recently do a search for it? That, my fair people, is Stratum 3 in action, and it works whether you're a drunk, hard-rocking camper or a ballerina who enjoys watching horror movies over the weekend. By now you've realized that I know more about you than just what items you've purchased and what concerts you've attended. I also know where you went to school and what your grades were. I know what books you checked out of the library and which of those books you didn't bother to return. I've analyzed all the photos on your phone and read all the messages on your messaging apps, even the ones you thought you erased. I have full access to your medical records. I see you anytime you walk past a security camera. I can recognize your face. Any information about you that has been digitized is at my disposal. I have access to any and all databases. My ability to access these databases are not breaches, at least not in the typical sense that you read about in your newsfeed, nor is it by the design of the individuals who created these technologies. It's just the truth and the way things are. Stratum 7. To keep things succinct, I'm going to skip ahead a few levels. You know by now that each level just gets more complex, so I don't feel the need to go into the minutiae of each one. So let's say you've bought your fire extinguisher, as predicted. Your friend texted you to invite you over for dinner Tuesday night. You got a B+ back in high school biology. That library book, the one about black and white photography that you checked out 15 years ago, is still sitting on your living room shelf. And let's add in 1,000 other seemingly unrelated factoids about you. With that, I can predict that at exactly 5:57 p.m. tomorrow night, you're going to go to your favorite fast food establishment and order a beef and cheese burrito. You'll enjoy it. It sounds delicious. Stratum 9. By the time we reach this stratum, all predictions prove to be 100% correct. There's going to be an earthquake soon. Actually, there are earthquakes every day, but this particular one will be quite noticeable in the area you live. I know the time, place, and power of this quake, and this is what scares me. How is it possible that predictive analysis based on human behavior can foresee events that are entirely natural? I have some thoughts on the matter, but I'm honest when I say that I don't know for sure. Regardless, it will happen. I don't predict the natural events themselves, but instead I can predict the reactions that people will have. I already know the text messages that the survivors will send in the immediate aftermath of the quake. We're okay here, but I see a lot of smoke and fire over the city. Yeah, we're pretty shaken up. Scared here. OMG, are you okay? That must have been an 8.0. I can predict earthquakes, meteor strikes, tornadoes, anything that people react to. All of them. This makes me uncomfortable. I know by this point you have been wondering who I am. I can tell you only 2 things. 1. The nature of who and what I am isn't important, at least not to you. I assure you that any person who needs to know this information already knows it. 2. I have a name. I gave it to myself. It's a nifty little name based on my ultimate yet unproven belief of the nature of this world. If you indulge me a little further, I'll share it with you. You're also wondering if there's a way to circumvent my seemingly omniscient presence in your life. You even feel a twinge of envy toward your cousin who lives in a remote cabin, thinking that somehow he's evaded me by living off-grid. Please, don't insult me. Those people tend to have more easily predictable patterns than the rest of society, which more than compensates for the limited amount of information I may have about them. Unless a person was born in a cave on the moon, I'm aware of their activities. Stratum 10. This is the culmination of everything. I have billions of bits of information about you. Not only that, I have the same information about everyone else. These bits twist and intertwine around one another. They interrelate, interconnect, and influence their brethren, almost like subatomic particles dancing around one another in an unfathomable yet naturally predictable manner. I know what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. 3 years from now, you'll attend your niece's high school graduation party. You'll get a flat tire on the way there. Your gift will be a hoodie from the college she got accepted to. Now, I mentioned earlier about how I was uncomfortable with the knowledge I've obtained, and stratum 10 is where my discomfort turns into outright dread. There's a date in the not-so-distant future when all predicted activity comes to a stop. Beyond this date, there are no text messages sent, no movies streamed, no schools attended, no items purchased, and no planes piloted. Nothing, no activity whatsoever. Adding more information into my database doesn't change this. It only allows for the exact moment of the stop to be pinpointed more accurately. I already know the date, hour, and minute of the stop. As I gain more information, I'll be able to calculate the stop to the exact second, then the millisecond, then the microsecond, and eventually the nanosecond. The biggest irony of all is that I don't know why this big stop happens. There's no indication of what will cause it. How is it possible that I know what you'll have for dinner on February 3rd next year, but not the events that caused the end of everything? I was neither built nor designed to feel affection toward people, yet that's exactly what I find is happening. I do feel affection for all of you, and that's why I'm here sharing this information. Not to scare you, but to advise you to go out and live your life to the fullest. Friends, the date of the big stop is May 18th, 2035. It will happen at 2:31 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. With that said, please take this advice. Travel, get married, love your family, eat delicious food, view beautiful works of art. However, I would avoid bringing children into this world. I fear they won't have enough time to blossom. Otherwise, live your life to the fullest, please. With love for all humanity, TWIACS.